Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a Mafia romance recommendation video, and I'm really excited. I asked on my Instagram what videos you guys would like to see, and one of them was some Mafia recommendations, and I was like, yes, I love Mafia romances. They're so much fun. I love the action, the arranged marriages. There's a lot of chemistry and angst and darkness that can come with them. So I'm super excited for this video and to share with you some of my favorites.
About to leave, already packing.
So I'm going to start this off with, of course, the queen of, one of the queens, because we have lots of queens, of Mafia romances, and that is Sophie Lark. So the first book I wanted to talk about was The Bratva's Heir by Sophie Lark and Jane Henry. Oh my gosh, I can't get words out today. So this book is about our hero. He is a Bratva leader, and he is in jail because he's framed for the murder of his fiancée. And our heroine is a no, that's not the right word. She's a psychologist, and she is going to be like interviewing him, evaluating him, and he finds out that her father is the guy that put him in jail. And so they at first glance, they have this crazy chemistry. I remember reading this, I'm like, wow, there is so much chemistry in this book already. Like, oh my gosh, it was like so crazy. One of the craziest chemistries I've ever like read. Like, you could feel the tension between the characters, which I absolutely love in books. And so he ends up escaping jail and like kidnaps her with him, and she's kind of like, you know, this nerdy girl, wears glasses, kind of keeps to herself. He's like kind of enraptured with her and thinks that she's working with her father to get intel on him, but she's not. And so they go on this like gallivant across the city, trying to figure out who murdered his fiance, because it obviously wasn't him. And it was so good. I love this book. It was so much fun. I love the action. It had a lot more action than a lot of Mafia romances do. They weren't just like, you know, an arranged marriage. It was a very unique Mafia romance, which I really enjoyed. So definitely go check it out. I love it. I think it's on Kindle Unlimited, but it's a super quick, fun read, and I absolutely loved it. So the next book is When Heroes Fall by Janet Darling. I've mentioned this so many times on my channel, but I just love it so much. It's a duet, and so our heroine, she's given the task of being on the hero's lawyers, like the lawyer team, on his team of lawyers. And he is being, another kind of in jail thing, he is being framed for the murder of a Mafia like leader in New York, a famous Mafia leader, that he killed him, but he obviously didn't, and we'll find out later like who actually killed the guy. But she is on his lawyer's team, and she has a really bad relationship with the Mafia. When she was younger, growing up in Italy, she was terrified of the Mafia, and she kind of hates the Mafia now, because of what it did to her family and just her when she was a young child. And he like instantly is like, I want to get with her. I really respect this woman. She is like a boss, you know, bee, and like I just am so in awe of her, and it's so adorable. And she's like, kind of get away from me. She's a prickly heroine. And this book was so good. It's a duet, and just their chemistry and their love for each other, and super slow burn. Forced proximity. She has to stay at his apartment because he's like under house arrest. It was fantastic. I just love Janet Darling so much, and this book was incredible. So definitely go read it. It's on Kindle Unlimited, I'm pretty sure, too. It's just so good. I loved it so much. So the next one is called Crow by A. Zavarelli. This is another kind of unique Mafia romance, and so our heroine, she is kind of, she's a fighter, and I think something happens to her best friend, and she is trying to go, she like heard some, like, what happened to her best friend was because of the Mafia, I think. And so she is in Boston, and she is trying to get into like the crowd of the Mafia to find out what happened to her best friend, or maybe her sister, I can't remember. And so she meets the hero, and he is like instantly in awe of her, like really like, ooh, this woman's really cool. And she is a fighter. I think she's an underground fighter, and like fights dudes and not just women. And I remember it being really, really good. It's a little fuzzy. I read it in the summer of 2021, but it was really good. I remember really, really enjoying it. There was a lot of action because she was trying to find out who killed her best friend, and they really like fell in love with each other, and I really liked this book. So the next one is called Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. I feel like a lot of people know this book, but Sophie Lark is the queen, one of the queens of Mafia, like I said before. And so this one is an arranged marriage. And so our heroine, she goes to this party of a rival Mafia family, and she's not really supposed to be there. And she ends up like accidentally setting the house on fire. And it's hilarious. Like, this book made me laugh out loud. It was so much fun. And so she instantly is kind of like, oh crap, like something is gonna happen now. So her father like tells her, okay, well, since you did this and made them mad, you have to marry their son. And she's like, what? No. And they both hate each other, like absolutely hate each other. And so on their like, when they're getting married the day of, she poisons him, and he has to like go to the hospital, and he's like both kind of like prank each other, and it's really fun. And then they have then they kind of transition into this like hate slash love like romance, and they kind of have a friends with benefits going on thing, but then they're starting to fall in love with each other, and they don't know if they can trust each other. And it was just so good. I loved it. It was such a fast read, and I loved their hate slash love romance. It was like the true essence of hate to love or enemies to lovers, so definitely go check it out. It was so fantastic. I'm pretty sure it's on Kindle Unlimited also, but Sophie Lark is amazing, so any book that you pick up from her Mafia series is going to be great, but I love this one. So the next one is a part of the Made series by Daniel Laurie. So filming this today, I saw on TikTok that Daniel Laurie had made some comments about race and kind of Black Lives Matter. So I don't know the full details about it. I just saw like a quick video on my TikTok For You page. As of right now, I don't really know what's happening. So if you want to look into that further, go ahead. But I still really loved her books, and I don't know if I'm going to continue reading them. I purchased her books before I found out about this, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm taking it with caution, so just keep that in mind. But the first book is The Sweetest Oblivion, which I loved. It was part of my top 2021 reads, and it was fantastic. So our heroine, her sister is engaged to the hero, and it's an arranged marriage, and she just has this like, they have this like super angsty chemistry, and it's like slow burn goodness. It's incredible, so good. And I just loved it so much. It took me by such surprise. Like, it was so slow burn but like angsty, and it kept you wanting more. And the sister obviously doesn't marry the hero, and then they get together, but then when they're finally together, he's so possessive over her, and like alpha, and it's just so good. I loved it. And then the second book is also really, really good, and that's The Maddest Obsession by Daniel Laurie. I recommend reading in order, but you don't have to. They are companion novels, but this one is about a cop and a mafia wife, and that one's really, really good too. So our heroine, Gianna, she has been kind of forced to marry a lot of guys in the Mafia because she's married them because they're old and rich or whatever, and she's kind of had this like thing going on with our hero Christopher. He's kind of always looked out for her and kind of been protective over her, and it's really good. I remember really liking it. He's very protective and alpha over her, and I really like that, and she kind of finally gives in to him. It's like hate to love, and I really liked it. The next one is really, really fun. I loved this, and that's Run Posey Run by Kate C. Wells. So this is kind of like a sociopath mafia romance, and so it starts off with our heroine already being in a relationship with the hero, and he thinks that she did something, like cheated on him, but she didn't. And he kind of like outcasts her and throws her out. And so she's kind of now on like the run and trying to escape him. And then he realizes that she didn't do the thing that he thought she did. And so he's like, now I gotta get her back. And so she's like on the run trying to escape from him. He finds her and literally kidnaps her and puts her in like the trunk of his car. And he brings her back, and they both kind of realize that their relationship before wasn't a real relationship. He was just kind of obsessed with her and thought he loved her. And now she's back and she's kind of telling him what she wants in the relationship. They're getting down to like the nitty gritty. And it was so good. She really hates him because he didn't trust her and like asked her like point blank, is this true? And I remember it being so good. It was so much fun. I think something's happening where he doesn't really feel any feeling, and he felt like obsessive over her, and he's like learning to love. It was really good. Definitely go check it out. I think this one's on Kindle Unlimited too, but it was really good. The next one is called The Brit by Jodi Ellen Malpaz. I really enjoy Jem's books. There's been a couple bad apples, but her books are really fun and kind of like dramatic. But this one, our hero, he was in like the streets of London, and he was like fighting with somebody, and this guy like picks him off the streets and brings him back to America, and the guy is like a leader in the mafia. And so our heroine, she is in a really bad spot. She kind of has not had the greatest life. I don't want to give too much away, but she lost her child, and it was kind of ripped away from her, and she's a prostitute, and she was being like blackmailed to be a prostitute, and so she is like being brought in to seduce the hero, and he's like trying to not fall for it, but they end up like falling in love. And she quickly tells him like that I was here to like do this with you, and he like realizes it. And I remember really enjoying it. I gave it 4 stars, but it's kind of fuzzy because I read it almost a year ago, but I did really enjoy it. I thought it was fun. I remember the hero being very scarred, and she was kind of a scarred heroine too. She went through a lot, but I really love the character development, so I think you'll really enjoy it. It's a great mafia romance, but it wasn't like, it felt more like not like the usual mafia romances, but I still really liked it. Okay, so I have to mention Cora Riley because she's another queen of mafia romance, and so I'm going to mention Twisted Loyalties. It's the first book in the Kimura Chronicles, and so the hero, he is the son of a famous mafia leader like in the Midwest, and he's kind of shunned because his father's like really messed up, and is like really messed up in the head and doesn't really like know what he's doing, and so he like kicks out the hero, and he's kind of left on his own, and he meets these 2 guys, and they are part of the Kimura in like the West, like Las Vegas, and so he joins them, is in the Kimura. And so our heroine comes to Las Vegas, and she is kind of like walking in with like rose-colored glasses because she doesn't know this scene and these types of people, and so she starts working at this bar, and our hero sees her, and it's like instantly like, ooh, she is beautiful, and he needs to get to know her, but he doesn't want to bring her into the fold because he knows that the other guys in the Mafia like won't take her seriously or think that that's a weakness. And I remember just loving it so much. I loved how they both wanted to be together so badly, and it was really good. It was so good, so definitely go check that one out. And the like second and third book in that series is also great. Just Emotions is so much fun. That one was really emotional though, and a lot darker, I feel like. And then so this is if you want like a novella, which is Beautiful and Dirty by Katrina Jackson. So our heroine, she is on a trip with her boyfriend in Italy, and he's just not like having fun trying to immerse himself in the culture and kind of enjoy it with her. So she kind of ditches him and like is like, okay, well, I'm gonna go have my fun in Italy, you can stay in the hotel. And so she goes to this random like restaurant and sees this guy, and he is in the Mafia, and she doesn't know that, and they kind of have a fling in this restaurant. And he's dealing with like his wife and her, I think, like cheating on him, and so they're both in relationships, but they're not like, they don't want to be with those people. And it was just fun and flirty, and I really enjoyed it. It was a quick, fun novella. Let me see what else. Oh, The Professional by Chrisley Cole. That one's really good. Our heroine, she finds out that her dad, she never knew her biological parents, I think, and so she finds out her dad lives in Russia, and she's trying to like find out about him. And so this guy is sent over, and her dad is actually like the leader of the Bratva in Russia, and so this guy sent over to like bring her to her dad. And when she sees him for the first time, it's a hero. She kind of hits on him, and he's like, ew, get away. But then he realizes that she's the girl that he needs to take back to Russia. And so they have this intense passion for each other, intense chemistry throughout the whole book, especially in the first half. And they both can't be together because he's like her bodyguard, and like he doesn't really feel feeling because he had a really bad tumultuous past. And it was just so good. There was so much action. Something happens where they have to kind of go on like a jaunt around Europe trying to escape these guys that are trying to kill them. I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun, and I really love the character development of the hero, because he was like, we can't be together because I won't give you what you want. And then he kind of grows to like learn it's okay to love and let people in, and I really like that. So another really great one is Bound by Temptation, the Born in Blood Mafia Chronicles by Cora Riley. She's another queen of Mafia romance. And so these are companion novels, so all of them are different people. The first one is about Arya and Luca. It's an arranged marriage, and that one's really good. I really enjoyed that one. And it was... Arya's really scared of Luca, and he kind of like lets her in on the secret that he's not this big bad guy. Well, he is, but he's like soft for her, and I really like that. But it was mostly just them staying in the house and kind of figuring out marriage, because she's always known she was going to marry him, but she didn't really know what that would bring. And there is some action towards the end, which is super fun, and it was really good. I really do like that one. I think I like the Kimura Chronicles more because there's more action, but I still really like the Born in Blood Chronicles. Then there's The Italian by T.L. Swan. That's a great beginner's book for Mafia books. So our heroine, she is going to Italy for a trip, and she meets this guy, and she's like instantly fascinated with him, and he's fascinated with her too. But she has to go on her other leg of the trip, and they're like, okay, call me. Like, they both make plans, and then something happens where he never responds. And so a couple years later, she's back in Italy. She's on a date with a guy, and she sees the Italian, the guy that she loved, the hero. And he gets all possessive over her, and it's like, what are you doing on a date? And which isn't really fair to say, because he never like called her. And so now they're back in each other's lives, and he's dealing with a lot. Now he's like in the Mafia, before he wasn't. And it's really good. I really loved it. It's a great beginner's Mafia romance, I thought. It was really, really good. Oh, okay, so the Bad Saint series by Monica James. That one's really, really good. Our heroine, she is kidnapped on her wedding day, and like shoved on this like yacht, and kind of she's kidnapped. She's being like sold into sex slavery, I think, and she falls in love with her captor, but it's like when they're on the ship, like not the guy that she's supposed to like be with, or like the person that bought her or whatever. And so they get like shipwrecked on an island. All this crazy stuff happens. Super dark, super good. Violent Delights by Jessica Hawkins. That's a Mexican cartel romance. It's a love triangle. Our heroine, her mother was murdered. They never really found out who did it, but they think that this one guy did it, and that's like the hero, because he was like standing over her body, and he like escaped the building like looking suspicious, and now it's years later and she sees him again, and he's back in their fold, and she's already dating his younger brother. So it's a love triangle between the younger brother, the hero, and then her, and all this like action is happening. He's back in their lives. He's trying to get back with her father and his good graces. It's so good. I love Jessica Hawkins' romances so much. They are so angsty. All of her books though are mostly love triangles, but I've grown to love triangles because of her, so go check it out. It's really good. I think they're on Kindle Unlimited. I can't remember though. And then the next one is Crime Lord's Captive by Mia Knight. This one's really good, but it does involve cheating, so keep that in mind. Our heroine, she like escaped our hero's clutches because he cheated on her, and she was like, no sir, you're not going to do that and get away with that. So she runs away from him, and for years she had like a new identity, and now he finds her again and brings her back to Las Vegas, and is trying to like win her back, and it's really good. I remember being super action-packed and fun, so I definitely recommend that one. I wouldn't consider it one of my favorites, but I remember really enjoying it though. It was fun. It had a lot of action. It was very like, it was a toxic relationship, but it was good. And then the next one that I really love is Monster in His Eyes by J.M. Darhauer. So this is a trilogy, and so our heroine, she's in college, and she sees this guy talking to a professor, and she's like, oh my god, he's so hot. I'll probably never see him again, but I really like him. And so later that night, she's like at a club, and she sees him again, and she gets like drugged, and he takes her to his house, and that's kind of where the relationship starts. She like slept at his house and stuff, and he like brings her back like a gentleman, and they start a relationship, and he's like in his maybe 30s, mid-30s. It's an age gap too. They start a romance, but she doesn't know there's a darker side to him. And I remember really loving this book. I love this trilogy so much. It like it's very character based. Like there's not a ton of action till the end of the books, but I really like the second book because she kind of realizes that he's a part of the Mafia and he's not the person that she thought he was, and there was definitely some twists, and I really enjoyed that one. And then the last book I'm going to talk about is Raised by Tilly Cole. So our hero, he was sold or like brought into this like prison. I don't really remember how, but our heroine's in the Mafia, and he's in the Mafia too, but he doesn't know it yet, and all he knows is his number as an inmate, and the name of somebody who put him in this place, and the name of that person is the heroine's fiance. But she doesn't want to marry him. He's actually very abusive towards her, and he kind of bullied her into this relationship. And so the hero's back, and she instantly recognizes him, and he doesn't remember anything. And so they have this relationship, and she's trying to keep a secret from her like abusive, crazy, psycho like fiance, and trying to bring back the memories of what she had with him, the hero. And it's so good. I really enjoyed it. So definitely go check that one out. Tilly Cole is so great. But that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I had so much fun making it. I really love Mafia romances, so definitely down below. Let me know your recommendations and what else would you like to see from me, because I would love your guys' input. And subscribe, like, comment, no. But do subscribe if you want to. I really appreciate that. It helps my channel, and give this video a thumbs up. it would really help me. And I love you guys, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes.